Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, and my sincere apologies for that slight delay. We are going to continue. I'm going to just start with giving a few remarks before we invite our keynote. And thank you very much for your patience waiting for us. His Excellency Honorable Vincent MERITON, the Vice President of the Republic of Seychelles, Honorable Tajasil Mohammed, Advocate General for the Republic of Sudan, Mr. Stephen KARANGIZI, Chief Executive Officer and Director at the Africa Legal Support Facility at the AFDB, Mr. Silva Ojukwu, Commissioner and Chief of Staff at ACFTA, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored, as said earlier, to welcome you to our 8th edition of the East Africa Arbitration Conference. It's been 8 years of us coming together. And as I started my communication earlier, I said it almost feels like an annual family gathering where we sit together, come together to look and explore ways to promote arbitration in our region. You'll notice our conference theme this year is based on disruption. And trust me, when we started deliberating on various themes for the conference around December last year, none of us could have predicted the kind of disruption our world has experienced for the last 6 months. I think most of us have learned something. And I think the most important lessons, particularly for us in Africa, is the importance of growing strong, resilient economies, growing very strong, resilient capacities in all sectors, because we've seen our dependence on international expertise, international supply chains has really not helped us. And for you in arbitration and the legal sector, I think I think one lesson we should learn is the importance of innovation, the importance of being creative for us to be able to remain relevant. Today, I'm delighted to let you know that we have worked on a very thorough program. We have looked at various topical issues that we think are relevant to the arbitration practice. And I do hope that you'll join us throughout the day and tomorrow to listen to the great speakers that we have lined up for you. I am very grateful to all our speakers, our partners, our strategic partners, our sponsors, who have always supported us and made this platform a possibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I also would like to invite you to our exhibition booth. Our sponsors have all lined up resources for you to be able to engage with them. This platform is perhaps one of its disruption in real sense. We were hoping to use Zoom, but we realized Zoom does not offer the kind of security we would want to ensure that each one of you has, and therefore we used Excel events. I do hope if you have any challenges accessing the system, please let us know, and our team will be happy to assist you. I am delighted to also commend Warimo, our program director, Leyu, Elodie, and Steve and Winnie, who are always working behind the scene to make this program a success. I'm very happy that you've joined us, and without taking further time, please allow me to invite our first keynote today, Mr. Stephen KARANGIZI. Mr. KARANGIZI, as I mentioned earlier, is the Chief Executive Officer at the Africa Legal Support Facility at the AFDB. When I was looking at his bio, you can already see his bio. If you click on speakers, you can read his very extensive bio. What I think, the one thing I can sum Mr. KARANGIZI profile is that he's one of Africa heroes working behind the scenes, supporting institutions to make sure that our continent moves forward. Steve has worked variously supporting regional integration for COMESA and also ACFTA. It is now my honor to invite you, Steve, to give us your keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agnes. Let me recognize, although he's not with us yet, His Excellency, the Vice President of Seychelles, Mr. Vincent MERITON. And let me also first thank the organizers, Agnes, Wairimu, and all the team for the wonderful arrangements you have put in place. And also thank all the distinguished participants taking place, ladies and gentlemen. Warm greetings from the African Legal Support Facility, and congratulations on the commencement of the 8th East Africa International Arbitration Conference. I must say I've been invited in the past and I've been unable to attend. So this disruption has a lot of meaning to me because it has made me attend for the first time. But I did send some colleagues in the past and we did support the conference because we think it's absolutely important. Why do we think that it is important? While the facility has been operating for only 9 years or 10 years this year, in terms of actual operation, in terms of establishment, a bit more, but in terms of actual operation, 10 years, we've realized that arbitration is not yet sufficiently used as a means of settlement of disputes, or should I say all alternative dispute resolution mechanisms across the continent. You find a few spots where it's extensively used, but overall, we are not doing a good job of it. And I think we need to do more to promote it, to ensure that across the board, across the continent, it's more increasingly used. Not just arbitration in its narrow sense, but also generally in terms of settlement of disputes, provisions in agreements that investors sign across the continent, governments sign, something we should promote more, and I'll speak a bit more about it later. But I wish to draw on some of the issues that are common to us for a conference like this, and various organizations represented here, to urge closer cooperation, closer partnerships, to ensure that we can maximize the opportunities for supporting the development of our various countries and continents. First of all, we have individuals, many lawyers, arbitrators, arbitration officials, and students of the law, many of them extremely qualified and experts in various areas of practice. Some are training to become practitioners and professionals, some are trainers, some are mentors, but we do believe that this conference is relevant to all of you. Secondly, of course, are the law firms and businesses, which seek to employ qualified persons to deliver effectively for their clients and attract business. Thirdly, you have professional associations. I think this conference offers an opportunity to foster networking and professional development. You have the East African Law Society that on its website points out that membership guarantees unlimited access to huge regional and international networks. So I think this is one of those opportunities that they can use to take advantage of that intention. Our hosts, the conference itself, indicates that they seek to promote the development of international arbitration practice, bringing together private sector, investment community, regional and international arbitrators, legal practitioners, share best practice network, and forge business relation networks. I think that summarizes why we are all here, and I think it's a brilliant initiative. The countries, for the countries that we already support, we've already supported 50 countries. With respect to arbitration itself, we probably supported about 7 countries, mainly arbitration cases outside the continent. We cannot overemphasize the importance of dispute settlement, the role of law in socio-economic development. The only way we can guarantee increased investment, both international and domestic, is having faster and easier methods of dispute settlement. The more easily, quickly, and authoritatively we settle contractual and commercial disputes, the more our legal systems inspire confidence and promote investment. So we cannot overemphasize the importance of this conference to the countries. For international organizations, we have the African the newly created African Free Trade Area, Continental Free Trade Area. And thank God we have a colleague here, despite the fact that we are not able to get the Secretary General. I think we can't emphasize its importance, as this is relevant to all integration processes to ensure that we'll have smooth running trade and investment across the continent. Of course, there are others like Ancitro, Exit, and so on. And of course, there are the arbitration institutions in our region, like Nairobi Arbitration Center, Kigali Arbitration Center, Cairo, the Mauritius National Arbitration Center, and the various national ones. So having said that these are stakeholders that we feel this kind of conference is important to, and I've highlighted what the relevance to each of them is, we think that it is important to then identify what are some of the common threads here. I will summarize them in a few words. I think one is in terms of development, capacity, personal level, professional level, legal and economic, business in terms of commerce, trade, enterprise and investments, and of course, networking. But on average, or in general, as a region, how do we then ensure that our role for Africa in terms of all dispute settlement mechanisms is enhanced on the international arbitration? Why do I say that? I say that because our experience as a facility has shown us that in most cases, Africa is absent in international arbitration. Absent in terms of having representation on the arbitration panels of Africans, and absent also in terms of having arbitrators, representation by lawyers or experienced arbitration experts representing the countries, because we exclusively assist the countries. As a result of that, or should I say the genesis of that, starts with poorly negotiated investment agreements and treaties. And because you have poorly negotiated investment agreements and treaties, often there is not much attention paid to the final clauses relating to dispute settlement. And we only wake up when the disputes arise. Secondly, something I have already mentioned, there is limited participation of Africans in international arbitration, both as counsel and arbitrators. And thirdly, there is still a lack of capacity across the board, ensuring that you have capacity both in terms of lower personnel, middle level personnel, and of course the senior ones. The senior ones are usually occupied with so many other issues that their ability to then focus on these cases is limited. The only way that can be addressed is having a larger cadre at the bottom. And then, of course, lack of facilities in some countries. You need enhanced centers that can be used to build the capacity and so on. We recently supported as a facility what we call the Arbitration in Africa surveys. And the latest one, 2018-2020, we partnered with a senior African lawyer who's been doing it, based in London, to help us carry out this survey. And the survey showed some interesting aspects that, contrary to what we think, there is enough legal capacity on the continent to improve African participation in international arbitration. Surprise, surprise, but it is the fact. So the question is, how do we tap into it? Okay, let me go back. There's a bit of disruption. Then secondly, the survey also showed that domestic arbitration is right and rising in many ways. The survey also showed that some African cities and education centers are emerging as important
شايفه هنا لكن ما بتكون سامعاني. مين ستيج وفي عندهم حاجه اسمها باك ستيج. Hello.
for international arbitration, including Kigali and Nairobi in East Africa. And of course, we've always had Cairo and also Mauritius. There was also identification in the survey that there is increased awareness about arbitration, but there is still more work to do. And then that the other development that one can talk of that affects all of us that we need to be aware of is the ongoing reform process in ANCITRO on the investor-state dispute settlement aspect. This could have far-reaching effect and impact on the continent, so it is something we need to be aware of. And of course, technology. So the theme of this conference is relevant in terms of disruption. I think we have immense opportunities from technology. So what are the opportunities for further development of international arbitration? I think with the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area, we have a huge opportunity to deepen arbitration on the continent, increased regional infrastructure. We have a lot of regional infrastructure created, investment in technology due to COVID-19, hence the disruption, diversity of home countries giving rise to choosing of independent seats, and I think this is something the conference should take seriously. We should, as Africans, we should try to ensure that when we are drafting the agreements, we try as much as possible to try to look at neutral seats instead of the traditional seats that have always been used. And of course, we have an opportunity to increase African participation to address the gaps that exist. And when doing that, we have to take into account that there are African norms and innovations in connection with international arbitration practice and procedures that could be extremely relevant and useful. In terms of proposals for harnessing those opportunities effectively, I think we need to strengthen existing national institutions for ADR. If we do not strengthen national institutions, there is no way we are going to grow interest and awareness on the importance of arbitration and generally ADR. This, of course, ties us in with the need for capacity development, business, and networking. As a facility, we have taken this lead. We have created a platform with a capacity, a virtual platform with a capacity building information for all interested persons on our ALSF Academy. You can search for it, ALSF Academy. That will have 3 levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And we are partnering with the East African Law Society to recognize qualifications or qualifications under that platform for continuous legal education. Meanwhile, we continue as a facility to tap on existing African expertise to build on the capacity that we have. But I appeal to all those who are present, before you leave the conference, please key in alsf.academy and look for the material arbitration. In conclusion, we believe that the only way forward is continuous capacity development, networking with the stakeholders that I mentioned at the beginning who are present all here and beyond, and raising awareness with our government, particularly Attorney General, on the importance of drafting clauses that are putting emphasis on using regional arbitration centers and also national systems for arbitration. The experience promises to be real in terms of the future. I think we have a lot of opportunities. I think we have, with my colleagues, beginning with this morning, we have already enjoyed This facility you've set up as a conference, it's fantastic. To bring so many people together with very minimal cost. The only thing missing is the Zanzibar beach, but we hope this year we have an opportunity to enjoy that. So thank you very much, and I wish you a fruitful conference. I'll be sending my presentation to the organizers to circulate to the participants. Thank you very much, Agnes, and all the colleagues and all those participants.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Karangizi. That's very inspiring. You highlight some of the challenges we face, but at the same time, you give us hope. As the world continues to look inward, promoting protectionist policies, I think Africa is leading a way, coming together and forging the way forward that we can do better if we're united. You highlighted a very important point which EAC aims to achieve, and that is building capacity in arbitration and also building national institutions. I must say that this platform has witnessed partnership between the various centers we have in the region, CRCICA and Nairobi Center, CRCICA and Kigali Center. And we're going to continue championing this strategic relationship, promoting a unity within the profession so that, as you say, we can help and support governments to negotiate projects that are sustainable and that are beneficial to the African continent. Thank you very much, Mr. Karangizi, and we look forward to receiving your presentation so that we can share with the audience. It's now my pleasure to invite the Advocate General, Honorable Tajasir Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, Honorable Mohammed, I hope you can hear us all the way from Sudan. Sudan is an example of what professional people, you can hear us, thank you. Sudan is an example of the legal profession. You're aware there was an uprising or a change of government in Sudan, and most of it was led by professionals in legal, medical, and all other sectors. I'm not saying that we should have uprising, but I'm just saying that we all must participate in making life better and ensuring it works for all. It's now my pleasure to invite Ms. Honorable Mohammed, Advocate General of the Republic of Sudan. Mr. Honorable Mohammed, if you can hear us, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the Minister and Ministry of Justice, I would like to thank deeply, and I do appreciate the efforts of the organizers for approaching us to give this brief keynotes about arbitration in Sudan. You know, all Arab countries adopt the civil law system. Sudan is the only Arab country that follows the common law system. The state decisis doctrine is strictly respected by courts in Sudan. In the absence of a Sudanese president governing a certain issue, the English judicial president applied. This was the case till 1983, where the country adopted the Islamic laws, Sharia. If you talk about historical backgrounds of arbitration in Sudan, we can say that before the year 2005, there was no separate enactment related to arbitration in Sudan. The Civil Procedures Act 1983 governed all matters related to arbitration. In the year 2005, Arbitration Act 2005 was passed as the first separate enactment governing arbitration matters in Sudan. Then the Arbitration Act 2016 followed, which now is in force. Till 2018, Sudan was not a member of the New York Convention, 1958. On 26th of March 2018, Sudan deposited this instrument of accession to the convention with the UN Secretary General. In accordance with its Article 12, the convention entered into force in Sudan on 24th of June 2018. Thus, Sudan was the 38th African state to become party to the convention. Before joining the convention, it was really a very difficult task to enforce a foreign arbitral award in Sudan. However, our courts recognize and enforce foreign arbitral awards delivered in Arabic countries under the Riyadh Arab Agreement for Judicial Cooperation 1983. With the exception of provisions related to awards of interest, usually there are no special Islamic provisions governing or regulating enforcement of foreign judgment or arbitral awards. Where a foreign judgment contains an award of interest, the court will enforce the entire judgment except the interest award, because Section 110 of the Civil Procedure Act 1983 prevents Sudanese courts from awarding or enforcing an interest award. This is because interest is under Islamic laws usually illegal, haram. Apart from the above, we are aware the call of African lawyers for Africanization of African disputes that targets hearing African disputes before African arbitration centers and involving African arbitrators and counselors. We are pleased that some Sudanese lawyers have joined such a call. Under the above respect, we would just like to state that the culture of domestic and international arbitration in Sudan is at its early crawling stage. This could be attributed to only one reason, which is the absence of Sudan from the international business community during the period of the military regime that governed the country for the last 30 years. We would confirm that a specialized conference like this one, had never been held in Sudan during the last 30 years. Thus, we encourage such events, and we believe that holding one of them in Sudan would considerably contribute in developing the culture of arbitration in Sudan. We are open and would be pleased to discuss any suggestion in this respect. Finally, I would like to extend to you all, the greetings and regards of our Minister of Justice, Dr. Nasruddin Abdelbari. Long live our beloved continent, Africa, and thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Tajassel. Thank you for the invitation to Sudan, and thank you for that brief introduction of how Sudan has grown and working to promote arbitration. We are very delighted to have Artisan Law. I know they've worked very hard to make sure that your connection worked. So thank you very much, Osama and Mr. Tayyip, who have worked with Honorable Tajassel to make sure that we are able to hear him. So thank you. I take it that is an invitation to come to Sudan. I hope that's an invitation to host EAC 2021 in Sudan. We'll be more than happy to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank you. And it's great to welcome Sudan back into the international and into the global space. And we wish you all the very best as you work to rebuild your economy. If we can be this platform. If we can be of any assistance, please don't hesitate. So thank you very much, Advocate General. It's now my single most honor and privilege to welcome our chief guest, His Excellency Honorable Vincent MERITON, the Vice President of the Republic of Seychelles. I met the Vice President sometimes back in London with a team of very young and energetic technical officers when they were here talking about the blue economy and the blue bond that the country had issued. We talked about the importance of innovation and being creative as Africans, and I think Seychelles is an example of how creativity and excellence can make our economies better. I welcome you, Your Excellency, to deliver your special address. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you for the warm words towards the Seychelles. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all. It is a pleasure to say a few words today in a forum that addresses disruptions in arbitration in Africa. Seychelles may be the smallest African country, but we are certainly not spared by the challenges that we face on the continent. Maritime arbitration has been a practiced method of dispute resolution as an alternative to litigation since the times of the ancient Greeks. Moving to Middle Age Europe, arbitration was mainly from the application of lex maritime, the body of rules, custom, and usages relating to navigation and maritime commerce. This was gradually codified into early maritime law compilations in the 16th century. The birth of modern maritime arbitration can be traced back to 1861, when arbitration clauses began being inserted in the contracts of cotton merchants in Liverpool, which was then adopted in London, and then progressed to its worldwide expansion. As we may all agree, arbitration is the most popular way to resolve differences in the maritime world. It can be defined as a method of dispute resolution whereby a third party is appointed by mutual consent from the ordinary state of jurisdiction. One of the many reasons why arbitration is the most prominent of maritime dispute settlement mechanisms is because it allows the parties involved to avoid undesirable effects of litigation. Arbitration also prevents conflicts of jurisdictions in which the competent court and applicable law can become difficult to be determined. There are no specific sources of law for arbitration, except for provisions included in international treaties and conventions, such as the New York Convention and the Geneva Convention. Arbitration agreements are usually included in uniform contracts drafted and updated by maritime organizations, such as the Association of Ship Brokers and Agents, ASBA, and there are also special international arbitral centers, such as the London Maritime Arbitrators Associations and the Society of Maritime Arbitrators of New York. The New York Convention has been ratified by 149 countries, including Mauritius and Seychelles. Seychelles acceded to the convention in February this year. Ladies and gentlemen, every country has its own identity, which its citizens are proud of. And today, as a Seychellois, I'm honored to present the case of how, together with Mauritius, Seychelles found a solution to what could have been a very lengthy dispute. From the beginning, Seychelles had identified the importance of delimiting its maritime borders, and we signed the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea in 1982 and ratified it in 1994. a division dealing solely with the delimitation of our maritime borders was created in the 1980s in the then Ministry for National Development with the mandate to delimit and demarcate our maritime borders. This division was moved to the newly created Department of the Blue Economy in 2015, where it still resides today. During its tenure, this Maritime Boundary Delimitation Division has been able to delimit Seychelles' exclusive economic zone, that is 1.358 million square kilometers, sign delimitation boundary agreements with neighboring countries such as Tanzania, Mauritius, and France in relation to Île de la Grande Glorieuse and Île de Lys. Seychelles has also submitted claims to two areas of extended continental shelf, the Northern Plateau and the Mascareignes Plateau, both being granted with recommendations from the UN Commission on the Limits of Continental Shelf, and these have been domesticated. The Northern Plateau was claimed in 2009 and granted in 2018, whereas the Mascareignes Plateau was jointly claimed by Mauritius and Seychelles in 2009 and granted in 2011. Following this milestone achievement, in March 2012, the then President of Seychelles, Mr. James Michel, and the then Mauritian Prime Minister, Mr. Navin Rangoulan, signed two important treaties allowing our countries to share the management of the continental shelf of the Mascareignes Plateau region. As a result of such an agreement, our two countries, got to share the jurisdiction over an additional area of their seabed. It was indeed a memorable event, as two small island developing states had managed to agree to share the jurisdiction of an area larger than the size of Germany without going through arbitration. We were also the first countries to make a joint submission of its kind to the United Nations. These treaties and subsequent agreements are testimony to our two countries' genuine desire to work together as neighbors, partners, and friends. In 2002, delegations of the two countries met and started discussions on the delimitation of the exclusive economic zone boundary and the continental shelf beneath. The boundary protocol, signed by both countries in Mauritius in July 2008, culminated years of discussions and laid the foundation for further talks on the extended continental shelf claim and boundary. Considering the possibility of having overlapping claims, we, Mauritius and Seychelles, made a historical resolve to delineate our extended continental shelf in the Mascareignes Plateau region jointly. Technical teams conducted over 20 meetings alternately in Mauritius and in Seychelles, followed by further meetings in New York to prepare the joint submission for the extended continental shelf. This was lodged on the 1st of December 2008 to the Secretary General of the United Nations. The joint formal presentation to the United Nations Commission on the Limits of the Continental Shelf was made in March 2009, and subsequent dialogues followed in 2010 and 2011. The United Nations Commission on the Limits of the Continental Shelf made positive recommendations to Seychelles and Mauritius on the 30th of March 2011, whereby our joint jurisdiction over an area of 396,000 square kilometers of continental shelf was confirmed. The Mascareignes Plateau region provides for the economic, social, and cultural well-being of present and future generations as Mauritius and Seychelles exploit the resources. and dare I say, sustainably. Ladies and gentlemen, the ocean unites us, and it is vital that we are able to access, manage, and conserve resources of the ocean seabed and subsoil together. The first treaty that we signed, namely the treaty concerning the joint exercise of sovereign rights over the continental shelf in the Mascarene Plateau region, proclaims the extended continental shelf outer limits in order to provide for its recognition under the respective national laws and for the extended purposes of international law. The second treaty, the treaty concerning the joint management of the continental shelf in the Mascarene Plateau region, provides an overarching framework of structure and mechanism for the joint administration and management of the extended continental shelf. This second treaty also makes provision for a dispute settlement and a dispute resolution procedure. It enables the establishment of an arbitral tribunal and the number of parties involved, the mechanism by which the arbitration proceedings shall be instituted, together with the time limit for a response to be given in the event of a notice being issued. It also provides for the duration by which the proceedings shall be conducted and for an award to be given. This treaty also gives clear and concise guidelines allowing the two countries to address any issue in a timely manner and with previously agreed upon provisions. The present Maritime Boundary Management Division in the Department of the Blue Economy in the Office of the Vice President is the Secretariat for the management and implementation of the strategic objectives of the Joint Management Area. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, has been implementing a GEF-funded project entitled, and it's a long one, listen carefully, Demonstrating Innovative Ocean Governance Mechanism and Delivering Best Practices and Lessons for Extended Continental Shelf Management within the Western Indian Ocean Large Marine Ecosystem Project since 2017. I must agree, it's a mouthful. This project, ladies and gentlemen, being implemented over a period of 4 years, from 2018 to 2021, with the project management unit based in Mauritius and a Seychelles project manager will identify and showcase new management approaches and techniques concerning database management. It will also provide the opportunity for capacity building for our youth and professionals working in ocean management and governance. This bodes well with our national agenda, focusing on a strategic need for capacity building in fields such as maritime law, marine sciences, geosciences such as oceanography, hydrography, special sciences, and more specialized business training geared towards nature-based finance. Ladies and gentlemen, in light of these statements, is there a need for arbitration to become more digital? The answer is a resounding yes. In today's technologically advanced world, and with COVID-19 and the need for social distancing and working from home becoming the norm, information technology can be used to shorten procedural times through online hearings, such as this one, for example. The future of maritime arbitration relies on the aptitude towards innovation of the various components that govern it, as well as our ability for adaptation. On this note, I hope members will use this conference as an opportunity to also discuss the modernization of arbitration and how we can make it work better for Africa. I also wish to thank the organizers for making this event possible, this very important forum possible. and for allowing Seychelles the opportunity to share its experience. It was a pleasure to meet you all virtually, and we look forward in the near future to meet you face to face. But in the meantime, I wish you fruitful deliberations. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's very encouraging to hear your remarks. I have a lot of questions, but I know time does not allow us, and I know a lot of people participating online have a lot of questions. Perhaps one that comes on top of my head is, how can we use your experience between Seychelles and Mauritius to resolve the disputes, the maritime disputes that are ongoing in our continent? When I say that, I think of Kenya, Somalia, Uganda, the Nile dispute. What can we do as a region to try and see how we can work together rather than have these expensive disputes that really do not help us in any way? We'll be hearing more from Mauritius. Participants, please stay online. We have more information from Mauritius on our second session, where we look at trends in investment, trade, and flows for the continent. I now hand over the session to Wairimu, who will tell us. But before I do that, I am very, very grateful, Your Excellency, your teams in Seychelles, for your time and your excellent deliberation in sharing your remarks this afternoon. I'm also grateful to all our keynote speakers, Advocate General for Sudan, Stephen KARANGIZI, and my sincere apologies on behalf of Wamkele, who could not join us this afternoon. The handing over process of HCFTA from Ethiopia to Ghana is ongoing, but he will be represented later this afternoon by Silva Ojeko. My is to just say thank you very much. Please stay tuned and have a great session. Wairimu, over to you.
Thank you very much, Agnes, and thank you to our keynote speakers for today. We have learned a great deal. We have benefited from the session. Thank you for making the time. We know that we all have a lot of important work to do, but you have made the time to join us. Thank you very much. We shall be starting our next session, which is trends in disputes in Africa, new trends in disputes in Africa, in about 5 minutes, between 14:45 East Africa time and 14:50. We shall be stopping this broadcast, and the next broadcast will start in about 5 to 7 minutes on your live sessions portal. Please join your live sessions portal. Await the next broadcast as you network on the chat. So I'm stopping this broadcast now and leading you to the next session. Thank you all. Thank you, Agnes.